Just looking around at everybody doing their thing. She like looks through the glass and then she goes down, takes a drink. And then she looks around. She's got such a cool home here. All right, so you can see Stygia in her little aqua cave there. Sometimes she goes over to the middle and she's like completely out of the water. And sometimes she goes to like either end because she kind of wants to be halfway in the water. And a lot of times the one big pleco will hang out in there and kind of clean her raft off. And of course, we talk about good old Spaz, our little bristlenose pleco, who is pretty much always in there. And then he kind of goes back and forth with these little caves that we put in here. This one and this one over here. And he's been trying to go in there and trying to coerce this young lady in there. Now, she has gone in there a couple times, but they have not been successful in breeding. She is a very pretty little female bristlenose pleco. You can tell because she doesn't really have the bristles there, and she's got the little spots in the white tip tail. We do have two female calico ones in Cap's tank that we're going to actually be taking out and putting in here as well. So hopefully between the three females and good old Spaz here, and the reason that Jack calls him Spaz is because he is just unbelievable. He takes very short little breaks underneath Stygia's little raft here and hangs out. But for the most part, he is constantly on the move, constantly cleaning, constantly chasing the females. So we thought he's got so much energy, maybe if we put a couple more females in here. So there are two bristlenose calicos we're going to put in here, and hopefully they'll lay some eggs in these caves. Everybody else has been staying out of the caves. Nobody else has been bothering them. So we'll see what happens. As far as this big gal goes, she has been hanging out in this big cave that we put up here about a month ago. This gentleman right here, however, does not seem to be at all interested whatsoever in her. Now, again, we could be wrong, and perhaps they are both females or both males, but we think we're right. He's just not interested. We do have this other little albino one over here too, as long as the parrots stop photobombing. But this one, if it is a male, these parrots is most likely not even near big enough to coerce her into doing anything, because he's about as large as one of her fins, about a sixth of her size. So maybe in the future. But anyway, we're going to take this guy off. We're just going to put a couple of very small rubber bands around the edges of these plates of glass, because without this on top, Stygia could possibly slide one off when she's up there hanging out. This is going to open up this middle area and give these parrots more room to go over the top, especially now that we have more, because some of these guys we adopted from the rescue, there's the real big one, was being a little bit of a bully, but after a few days has settled in nicely, and nobody's really fighting. Everybody's getting along and everything nicely. So the other thing is we only have the two bamboo pieces left over here, because when we put that fluke worm medication in, it did kill some of the bamboo. These two are doing fine. We had three over here, but as you can see, this one did also looks like it's going to die. It does have a little sprout, and we'll probably try to save that little sprout. And also we're going to take off these guys, and we're going to plant those because we have some future projects coming up that we may use those in. And so we'll just have the two big pieces of bamboo left on either side of the tank here now. But most likely what we're going to do is we're going to maybe order more after the holidays, because I do like having 3 or 4 in there. It really helps to pull those nitrates and nitrites out of the tank and keep it clean. We're going to do today a little bit of a filter cleaning, which we're not really going to show because we've showed it before. It's no big deal. But we are going to show a little bit about the glass. A lot of people ask about the glass. We have done videos where we show. Now, we do not have to really clean any of this. About once a year, or even maybe less often, we do take these plates of glass off and clean them and put them back together. The thing is they are so close together that even though light shines through them, algae doesn't really grow between them, amazingly. It just doesn't. And you could see that. You could see kind of right through those, and you can see the light shining through all of those layers of glass. That light comes right through and lights up her cave for her. Now again, she does not get UV through that glass, but this is a UV light. And when she goes up here and hangs out, which she quite often does, she still gets UV light. Plus, as we've shown you guys, she comes out of the tank a lot. In the summer, she runs around the yard. And in the winter, we have a little oasis that we made her underneath my work desk. So we do take her out very often, and she gets to do that. So anyway, let's get to work on this. So we're going to kind of show how Jack cleans the glass. We do use a magnet. When you look through here, you can see right here that there is a little bit of a film. So even though we have all these plecos, and even though they keep things very, very clean, we only really clean the inside once in a while. They do keep that clean enough, but we like the front and the sides of the actual tank to be really crystal clear. You can see that a little bit of a film builds up on there. So we're gonna kind of show you how we use a magnet and show you the difference between that before and after in that. So let's get to work here. We'll get some of this done. We'll probably do the filters, maybe a little bit of a water change. And like I said, after the holidays, we're gonna add some more bamboo back to this because these gigantic bamboo plants just really help clean that water and do a great job. But yeah, as you can see, looking in this is still very, very clear, very, very clean. And we have not done a water change in a month, and we have not cleaned the filters in several months. So just that little bit of bamboo and having all this huge lava rock substrate still keeps this tank very clean and clear. And again, check out the links in our list because, or our playlist, because we show how we kind of, maintain this and everything, and it does do very well. Yeah, she's not really going to be extremely happy about us taking that out of there. She does seem to like to go up there, but she also goes in Iastigi's cave, and there's lots of other places that she can hang out. We just want to open it up. If they're not going to use it to lay eggs, it's just a huge waste of room. So she'll be okay with it. We'll just take it out. But she does like going in there. All right, so what's that, dude? That's a good old-fashioned magnet, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a cleaner magnet.
How old is that sucker?
It's probably like 60 years old.
I have had this magnet for almost 30 years. It is unbelievably old, and it still works. It's starting to fall apart, but it still works very well. Yeah. One of the things that we can do if we really want to clean that Aqua-Cave is we can actually put this inside the Aqua-Cave, put this on the outside of the Aqua-Cave, and clean it. Especially if I have the water down doing a water change, I can reach my hand in and I can do that. Now that will cause this felt part that's usually outside to get wet, but we can lay it out and it'll get dry after a few days, no big deal. We don't normally do that. We only do that every year or two because normally the plecos keep it nice. The other thing we do is, we've showed this in other videos, is we can put a tube up in here and that air will come out. The pressure of the water will just push that air out. It only takes a minute. And then the plecos will go up into this glass and clean it. But it really doesn't need done. It's not bad at all, so we're not going to bother doing that. As you can see Iastigi's clear as day there. So it's really something that we only do once in a while. And we have done that. They are in our aquarium playlist, and you can see that. But while I'm doing water change, taking this vase out, and moving this plant in that, Jack's going to be doing the old magnet on the glass. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of show you from the side as he's doing it here so you can see the difference of how it cleans that off really good, even though that thing is really, really old. Now you can see over here where Jack kind of did this side of the tank, it's very clear. I mean, there's a reflection from inside the tank, but over there on the other side, you can kind of see how there's this white film where he hasn't gone yet. So really just that magnet just cleans this up a little bit more, kind of scrubs it a little bit more than what the plecos can do. They do a very good job of keeping the algae off, but they just can't get like that white film. You see that line kind of like right there?
Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah, you can see it once you do it. So this side is clear and that side still got the film. So he just kind of goes around and cleans all that off. And if you look through the side of the tank, you can't really see it from the front, which is weird. But when you look through this side, you can kind of see where you've gotten and not gotten. And that's how you really get it clear. So a lot of times you see his face there, he's on the other side and he can go do it. And if he misses anything, he can get it. So, and then the same thing goes for this side. You can take the magnet over here and look at it from this side, but you can't really tell from the front. because it's very faint. But when you do it, overall, it looks a lot more clear. You can just see how clear this is. Again, we haven't even done a water change or cleaned the filters yet, and this has been sitting here for quite some time. So that's the technique that helps us a lot. If you look through the other side, you can then see where you are, whereas from the front, you can't really see it. It's just one of those weird things. See, here's a little tip about magneting or cleaning your glass. If you look at it from the other side, you can kind of tell a little bit better where you are and kind of what area you have and have not done. Okay, so that is now out. She didn't put up too much of a fight. She just went on here on the inside. There it is. Of course, we'll save that and use it for future stuff. Jack just keeps kind of working on the glass while I'm doing this. Just going to open up this whole top. We are going to put a rubber band or two just around these ends so those don't slide. And this is kind of how this looks from the top, guys. We just have old lids on here. And then these lay across so that that fish and those bromelates can sit up here, which we'll show you when we get done in a second. So I got that dead bamboo out of there, and these two are just moved, just like those two are. And a lot of people have asked us how we do this, so I'm gonna, kind of show you. I mean, basically the bamboo is anchored down into the sand and the pebbles and all that in the goldfish bowl, but it goes all the way up through the tank here, and it comes through the back. So basically we just have tiles holding it on. These are just all the old lids that I had, so there's two sets of lids. Since this is a deep tank, they come out the whole of the back one here, and then these tiles just kind of press again. We don't put a ton of pressure. We don't want to smash the plant. We just kind of push it against there to hold it in place a little bit so the fish can't really move it around. I mean, it will still move, but and then we just kind of put some weights on top of these. These are just all old tiles that we've had from, home improvement jobs we've done or whatever. We also, of course, keep a brick on top of these guys, which we've gone over. Because if those filters get clogged, they have a tendency to push that up, and it also cuts down on vibration and sound. So if you do have those Aqua-Clear, you may want to put a little brick or a tile or something like that on top of them. So there's another little thing there, okay? And we are going to now get ready to do a water change and clean those sponges. Jack is now, and you can see again, he looks through this side as he's doing that side so he can see through the back of it. You can actually see it with the inside light of the tank easier. So he's cleaned that side in the front now, and we're going to move him over here to this side since I'm out of the way. All right, we got the little rubber bands on the ends here. Seems to be working good. She's going up to right where she's used to being, and as you can see, some algae grew on that glass from where that vase was, and she's eating it off right away. You can also see lots of stuff floating around because we took these sponge filters out, and we're cleaning them, and we will do that first. We're going to clean all those, and then these guys, a lot of them are just picking off this biofilm that came out of the filters and stuff here. And Stidgy's just hanging out watching the whole thing from inside her cave. And then we're going to do a water change. And we did catch the tiny little ladies, and we have them in a bucket in the laundry room. And we're going to be acclimating them, pouring some water out of here, and all that kind of stuff. But most of our fish do very well going from one tank to another, because basically we share a lot of stuff between tanks, and it's just, there's never really been an issue with that, so we don't think that there'll be an issue. There's the male. There he is right there. That's his head sticking up. And he's anxiously awaiting his new girlfriends, and the parrots continue to photobomb every chance they get. But anyway, there he is. He knows something's up. You can see these clowns are doing the same thing. They're picking off a lot of this algae and biofilm and stuff that came out of the filters, which they always do. And usually on a day like today, we don't necessarily feed the tank because everything's just kind of working on all that. Everything gets stirred up and all that, so everything will just kind of eat. So we usually skip a day of feeding on days like this. As you can see, the filters are nice and clean because they're just pouring out water. So what we do when we do a water change, really only about every 3 or 4 weeks. Again, we've kind of talked about the fact that we just don't do them more often because of the bamboo, because of all the substrate. However, since we have a little less bamboo now and more fish that we added a couple of weeks ago, we may be doing them a little more often. We usually bring the water right down to the inlet of the Aqua-Clear. And then that'll be about, 40 to 50% change. We'll probably start doing it about every 2 weeks or so. So really, everything's done. The filters are clean. The glass is clean. We did put the little ladies in there, and they took off right away and hid behind the rocks. they'll start coming out, you know, and they'll get used to everybody, and they'll see that they have other little pleco friends in here. We have the rubber bands on here, so those are holding on, ready to go. We did move that bamboo, so it's a little more even. I'll turn the big light on here. We've got the bromeliads back up here, and there's the bamboo. So we'll fill it back up with water, kind of show you guys what it looks like, and overall, yeah, it's just like, you know, a little bit more progress on it. You know, with a little teamwork, you can make a lot of these updates, and maintenance pretty easy. I mean, just kind of worked on this tank for a little while. Anyway, next thing we're going to be doing is putting those laser lights on here. We used to have a shorter one a while ago, and we took it off. We're going to be using that for something else. So we got these. We'll put a link in the description, and we'll be coming out with that video pretty soon. That's going to be a lot of fun, I think, having laser lights back on here, don't you?
Yeah, it's going to look really neat.
So anyway, we're filling it back up now. Everything's pretty well done. We are going to be doing updates on these guys too. Probably some feeding videos, maybe some more music videos, maybe some slow motion, lots of stuff like that. And of course, all our other tanks. So we will see you next time, guys.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Bye.
A lot of times we have to take Guys Digi out when we do water changes because she attacks the python. She doesn't like it. She was just grabbing it with her mouth, but I missed it. A lot of times she'll grab it with her mouth and she'll pull. One time I wasn't around and she pulled this off, and then of course this leaked all over the floor. Luckily I heard it. But yeah, you gotta watch her. She doesn't like it. She's like, oh, I got all kind of room up here now. She doesn't know what to do with it. Look at all these little air bubbles. When we clean the filters, they're a lot more ferocious. And there's all these little air bubbles in here now. She's checking out the rubber bands because they're new. Don't bite them. Wouldn't necessarily be bad if they came off. I did put 2 just in case one breaks, but you know, we're just a little fearful that she might push these around. So we just put them on there as a precaution. Anything that's different, she'll usually try to bite it because that's what turtles do. Although it's odd because she never tries to bite the fish ever because she's so used to them, which most people don't have that experience with turtles, but we raised her with fish and that's all she knows. And she's very aggressive to other turtles and will not like any other turtles in her tank, but she totally gets along with the fish fine, even when they don't get along, like this guy's doing some chasing right now. Once in a while. But there she goes again. Oh, then I put the camera on her and she stopped. She was like, I'm not doing anything. Yeah, she'll check it out. I don't know that she'll be able to bite through it. They're pretty big rubber bands, but we'll see what happens. And if I got to put some bigger ones or something, then we will. She's really digging having that space open with that UV light though. So a lot of people just don't realize you don't have to be out of the water to get UV light. So that's the UV light, and every time she swims up here, she's getting hammered with it. And you can see, I mean, there's a ton of algae growing here. That big pleco already started tearing that off though, and that'll be almost gone. But yeah, she gets a lot of UV light just swimming around the tank right there. That's what that big glare is in the back. That's the big UV light. The rest of these are just LEDs. But that's the big UV light there.